Often after a YouTube video, I like to scroll down to the comments. Sometimes this is to gauge my response against that of the greater public. Sometimes I want to affirm my own negative or positive feelings about the content. Sometimes I want to chuckle at the jokes people leave. And sometimes I want to just see if people appreciate the work the creator put into it. These latter comments come in the form of, "This is art." These I often agree with. That perfectly crafted video essay, painstakingly made animation, or brilliant satirical performance is most definitely art. But there is something these pieces have in common. They were made readily and availably by a creator or team and put onto YouTube, this digital gallery with an admittance cost of an internet connection. There are millions of pieces in this gallery, but not many are considered art. Now, for some context, I myself am, by most people's definition, an artist. I've been writing and illustrating since I was a kid, and despite capitalism's many attempts to stomp it out of me, I have deluded myself enough times to submit to the title. I create oil paintings, write novels, and craft with wool. I get excited at conveying a mood or idea through abstraction. Does this portrait show metaphor? How does this piece make my viewer feel? How does it make me feel? But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's begin with some definitions of art. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines art as skill acquired by experience, study, or observation, or the conscious use of skill and creative imagination, especially in the production of aesthetic objects. Aristotle described art, specifically music and poetry, as the instinct of imitation implanted in man from childhood, one difference between him and other animals. And my personal definition, art is an attempt at communicating a thought or feeling between two minds that are otherwise separated by the limitations of physical birth and the passage of time. You can never 100% feel what another feels, any more than I can 100% feel what my gerbil feels when he falls out of his wheel for the 10th time tonight, but still gets back on it. I admire what he feels, even sympathize with his physical pain, but do not completely understand why he still gets back on that wheel. I think most of us can agree with Aristotle's definition about imitation. When we imitate, it is never perfect. It is abstract. Art, on some level, is always an abstraction of something else. A painting is an abstraction of what the eye sees. A performance is an abstraction of a lived experience. And a video essay is an abstraction of having dialogue with someone. Aristotle writes in his Poetics, "And it is also natural for all to delight in works of imitation. The truth of this second point is shown by experience. Though the objects themselves may be painful to see, we delight to view the most realistic representation of them in art. The forms, for example, of the lowest animals and of dead bodies." Aristotle is saying we love to engage with art. It gives us an experience we may not otherwise have, even if it is a grotesque or uncomfortable experience. But I'm not completely sure he is right. I don't think all humans do delight in engaging with art, in being conveyed an experience or feeling. For as many comments on YouTube videos saying, "This is art," I see another kind of comment. "Or maybe you don't have to look so damn deep into everything and you can just enjoy the music." I'm years late at this point, but holy fuck, you need to stop. It's a song for a game, it's not that serious. The first was a response to a comment on Imogen Heap's song, She Knows. It's a song that is a love letter to the Chinese people and their culture, who have been commodified and neglected by a government focused on modernization. The second was a response to a comment on a song from BioWare's 2014 Dragon Age Inquisition. The game at every moment critiques the role of organized religion with political entities, specifically when those powers have contributed to oppression and censorship. The song in question was pleading for an oppressed people group to be helped. Both these songs were clearly communicating ideas. The people listening to them and commenting are sharing what they feel is the message. Why are the responses to these filled with such vitriol? In our growing ease and hastening of media consumption, it's difficult to admit that every piece of media is art. I'm extremely hesitant to do so. But for many, they don't want to believe that anything is art, because then you'd have to do a few things. You'd have to admit that what you're engaging with is the attempt of other humans to relate a message to you. This is understandable as to why someone might not want to do this. When I watch other people's gerbils and hamsters fall out of their wheels on Instagram, I don't necessarily want to bust out theory lenses and ask myself, why are we all agreeing to laugh and observe this animal? Secondly, if we start trying to pick out art, we have to actually be critical of what we do and do not let occupy our minds. If this film is simply just a weird movie about a lady that wants a kid and has absolutely nothing to do with humanity's weird obsession in anthropomorphizing and exploiting animals, it can thus occupy the same amount of emotional labor as an average Marvel film. For the record, enjoy the media you enjoy. I am not trying to shame anybody or say you were bad for enjoying what you enjoyed. My takeaway isn't you should feel ashamed if you like more accessible media. My point is that if everything is art, nothing is. And when nothing is art, then there's no yucky, complicated feelings of guilt, insightfulness, shame, anger, love, bliss, etc. Everything simply is what it is, nothing more, nothing less. This conversation starts to become painful and frustrating for me, as the recent dialogue in the art community has been obsessed with AI art. There are a few key sides in this dialogue. The first is with most people who aren't self-identified artists claiming this is a cheaper and more accessible means for the common person to get the images they want. To me, this problem is a consequence of capitalism and the aforementioned desire for people not to want to engage with the feelings art evokes. If you already see art as simply it is what it is, then the human element of communication wasn't even there to begin with. The second is from industry artists that see this as a tool. It expedites the part of the process normally spent on synthesizing silhouettes, mood boards, thumbnails, studies, etc. The not fun part of art. The research. But this for me is also a consequence of capitalism demanding artists pump out more for less. Who has time to think about their feelings, thoughts, and messages? Let the AI synthesize it for you, and then you can refine from there. And third, also from industry artists, and the one I mostly agree with, keyword mostly, is that AI art does not qualify as art. The image isn't made by a human trying to communicate an idea. It is made by a machine given parameters, fed input, and belching out a product. But does it matter if the end result is a pretty piece of artwork that makes someone happy? I'd argue yes, when the very rhetoric to support the creation of that image is at the same time used to disparage the artist that made the work the machine learns from. And then there's the issue with the hands. Oh my gosh, the hands. When I used to fiddle around with "this person does not exist," it was hilarious seeing the AI fail to fill in backgrounds, understand hats, and butcher hands. Now with this new AI art, we see the people producing it paying those very same artists they said they didn't need or want to employ to fix the hands. But this is a larger problem with using AI to make products, specifically products posing as art. We have all seen AI produce nightmares that are Elsagate videos or finger families here on YouTube. Why does AI art inevitably become uncanny, ugly, or even unsettling? In Ted Chiang's short story, The Life Cycle of Software Objects, a tech company is frustrated that the AI they developed for their virtual reality sex bots is uncanny, unrealistic, and impersonal. The company considers it a failure. It fundamentally does what it was made to do, be a sexually appealing object for users, performing various sexual acts, and even wearing the virtual skin of celebrities like Marilyn Monroe. But users are unsatisfied that all the bots do is talk about sex. Their AI, developed through several thousand second-long generations, does not capture the exciting allure and complexity of human flirting, romantic chemistry, and definitely not love. The company inevitably approaches a no-lifing gamer group that has been raising virtual AI pets like human children. The pets were raised slowly, over time, and with the freedom to make mistakes and learn. The AI have complex personalities and understand the nuance of humor, kindness, and passion. They are a reflection of the humans that raised them. They are pieces of art, forged over many years by patient and guiding hands. I'm a strong proponent of other thinking models being valid thinking minds, even if that mind is the size of a peanut and keeps telling him to jump back on the wheel only to fall off of it. I don't want to say AI art is meaningless because I think it has the potential to be one day. But at the moment, AI has nothing to say because it wasn't taught any ideas. It has nothing of value to communicate because it doesn't even know what it is communicating. AI art is uncanny, grotesque, and naive. But there is another argument made by AI art proponents, one that I personally find fascinating. I don't want to learn how to make art. It is way too hard. This is just easier. To which I agree, making art is very hard. Not necessarily because of the technical aspects, but because of the emotional labor. You have to really, really love art to make it. You have to want to stick to it despite repeated failures, outside voices telling you not to, various socioeconomic pressures. You have to care a lot about what you are communicating when you are creating as an artist. An AI cannot possibly create art because it does not have to care. At least not yet. And I think this point is getting us one step closer to why some YouTube videos receive the compliment of, "This is art." But there is one more thing I want to discuss first. In the 2007 YouTube video, The Grocery Store, Ben Keeper has made a Lego stop-motion video about his experience at a grocery store. The description says as much. The video is crude, not technically well made, and has an easy bar of entry: a 2000s digital camera, some Legos, and Microsoft Movie Maker. This comment underneath it lauds it. When YouTube was full of creativity and imagination. It is what some would consider visionary art. It is communicating a story, the passion of the creator, and undoubtedly took work and zeal to come about. For many that cannot get art education, whether because of age, finances, health, etc., their art is often considered low quality or naive. Almost how I described AI art in the earlier chapter, but I think there is a key distinction here. Visionary art is uncomfortable and crude. People often respond with disdain. I could have made that because of its lack of technique. But then the follow-up question is, why didn't you then? Why did that person make this art and you didn't? The answer goes back to the artist cared enough about communicating an idea to make it. So why do those comments say that this YouTube video is art? Why can't we say that of the dozens of slime and unboxing videos that are made for babies to drool over? Is it because the artistic video is clearly communicating an idea? Is it made with immense passion or skill? Is it an imitation of a lived experience? Did it make you cry? Did it make you think? Did it make you feel closer to the person that made the video? Why are we so hesitant to say something is art? Is it because in this world where we digest dozens of pieces of media in one day, everything feels consumable? Or does this in fact mean we are consuming nothing, simply swallowing without chewing first? What compels us to finally admit when something is in fact art? And why is that such a tiny miracle in and of itself? I want to thank everyone that listened to my first video essay. I've been thinking a lot about art and my relationship to it, and how social media has made it increasingly more difficult to care about making art. Everything is so consumable. I'm trying not to let myself be consumed in the process. I hope you were able to engage with art in a new way, and I thank you again for your time. If you want to find me, I'll put my social medias in the description, and I would encourage you to like and share this video if you found it interesting. Thank you for your time, and maybe I'll see you again in the future. Who knows? I'm trying out this whole video essay thing. So take care. Bye. I really hope I don't have lipstick on my Invisalign. But then the follow-up question is, why didn't you then? But then the follow-up question is, why didn't you then? Let me close Discord. I can't drink water because then I'll smudge my lipstick. I don't want anyone coming for my hard front wig. I know it's a hard front wig. When I can afford a lace front, I will get a lace front. Thank you very much.